Welcome to the I Hate Critics Movie Review Podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
I'm just Jeff. How's it going?
You're also an artist.
Well, I try to be. I try to be.
You're an incredible artist, and you're being very modest, but your work is exceptional.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So tell people where they can buy it.
You can go to jefflassiter.com. You can also go to my Instagram, Jeff Lassiter Pop Cult, to see what I'm working on now. Doing some stuff for some upcoming shows. If you want to buy it, I have an Etsy shop, and that's linked at my Instagram and on my website. So please go buy it.
Excellent. All right. So let's talk about this. Of course, James Earl Jones is this top story. James Earl Jones passing away just yesterday. He's seemed like he was going to live forever because it's just, you just kind of hope when the guy is that amazing and that incredible, you just kind of hope he's never going anywhere. I think I was thinking about it last night, and this is I don't know if this is a hot take. I don't think it's a very hot take. It's just a take. I think that moment in Empire with him and Mark Hamill, I am your father. I think that's arguably the greatest piece of dialogue in film history. I think that moment, and it's made so much better by that voice, that gravitas, just selling that, just making us feel that moment even harder.
I agree 100%. I was thinking about that because, so many people are saying, oh, he wasn't just the voice of Darth Vader. But to me, such a big Star Wars fan, that's primarily what I knew him from. I've experienced so much of his stuff, whether it's, watching him in plays or listening to him and Angela Lansbury do Driving Miss Daisy on Audible. He was just a singular talent, and apparently the absolute nicest, most unproblematic guy who probably ever was in Hollywood. Nobody has a bad story about him.
Not a one. In fact, there's so many. There are probably so many great stories that a bad one probably couldn't even make it through. If it were just the Simpsons cast and writers talking about him, because they've been saying incredible things. He did a lot on the Simpsons. He did a lot more than people even remember. And the things that he did for them were just so incredibly funny. People underestimate just how, like, you think of him as the voice of This Is CNN or Mufasa or Darth Vader, but the man had incredible comic timing. Anybody who watched The Simpsons and saw him and heard his voice on there, he was perfect. He could have been a cast member. That's how good James Earl Jones was.
Agreed.
It's just it's remarkable. And of course, the tweet is almost to, I think, 1 million likes now. With Mark Hamill tweeted "R.I.P. Dad."
Yeah. If you want, if you're a Star Wars fan but you want to experience something kind of funny that involves him, there's a video that I've watched for literally years called Vader Sessions. And it's all of the Darth Vader scenes from Star Wars A New Hope, with, instead of his Darth Vader dialogue, it's his dialogue from different movies. It is possibly one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I never get tired of watching it.
Well, it sounds like a good thing a good way to pay tribute today.
Yeah, it's very funny. And, he gets he's sitting in the conference room and he's talking about baseball, and it's so fucking funny.
I can't even hardly think of that moment right now with him having just passed away, or I will break into tears, because it's maybe the greatest single speech in film history is that baseball speech. Just incredible.
Yeah.
But he knew how to have fun though too. That's the thing that again, like I mentioned The Simpsons, but also there's this terrible movie called The Ambulance with Eric Roberts that he's in, and he is having an absolute blast. He knows he's in a terrible movie, and he's just going all out, balls to the wall, just being the biggest actor he can possibly be, and he's so hammy, and you just know that he's just doing this because this is a boring role that they didn't give him anything to do, so he's just going to go for it and just have a great time.
Did he know he was in a bad movie because he saw Eric Roberts on set?
Eric Roberts wasn't who he is now yet. At that point, he was still kind of vaguely in that Oscar nomination glow. So,
okay.
But yeah, they both seem to know that the movie that they were in, and that movie is a bad movie, but The Ambulance is a fun bad movie if you ever want to enjoy something and laugh derisively at it. They'll laugh with you. I mean, or at least James Earl Jones would be laughing with you.
Good to know.
We got to talk about something stupid because, of course, people are doing something stupid. So, Killer's Game is going to be coming out this weekend. Dave Bautista, of course, Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, also from the WWE. He's out there on the promotional trail, and he's known for being a big guy, big muscular dude. Like, obviously you've seen Drax, obviously in the WWE, but he is trimmed down. He's lost a lot of weight. He's cut that massive musculature down to looking like a normal human being. And naturally, this means that he's not a man anymore, Jeff. That's apparently what Twitter thinks, is that he's just not a man anymore because he's trimmed now.
Jesus Christ. Are you fucking kidding me?
If you go on Twitter right now and you search Dave Bautista, you're going to see he looks great. But he also did this, Jeff. He also chose to wear pearls. And again, that is
I'm looking at that picture right now.
Yeah. He's not a man, according to these people. According to the worst human beings on the planet. Because if you're out there saying this shit, you're among the worst human beings on the planet.
So, question for all of those people. He's got a beard. Does that mean something to them, or because I'm certain, somewhere in there is something about a boxer from Algeria.
Mm.
Good for him.
He looks great.
It's incredibly hard to keep up that physique.
Yeah. And he's approaching, like, he's in his mid-50s.
Yeah.
Do you imagine trying to keep up that kind of musculature all that time? You got to be ridiculous.
Well, I mean, look at people like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who have tried to keep that look, at least, not necessarily their the actual physique, but the fact that they've tried to keep that image going for so long, and it's kind of parodies, themselves at this point. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. The things that Stallone is doing to his body are going to take more years off of his life. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I think this is the best thing that Dave Bautista's ever done, is to realize that it's not that type of physique, that wrestler physique. He's not a wrestler anymore. He doesn't need to do that anymore. It's okay, and he's still in great shape. He just looks like a more normal human being than the monster that he was in professional wrestling.
What's funny though is, like, I remember watching him in A Knock at the Cabin Door,
mm-hmm.
Knock at the Cabin, and he was so big that it looked like he was had gained a bunch of fat over his muscle, and his face was noticeably puffy. And now he looks amazing. Like, we should all aspire to look like Dave Bautista now.
And also, being 6'3" and being just covered in muscle like that was keeping him from getting the roles that he wanted. He's said for a long time he would love to be in a romantic comedy, but he can't get cast in a romantic comedy because he doesn't look right next to anybody that way. That would be the only thing. They would have to have a whole explanatory scene to explain why this guy is a giant muscle dude. instead of just being able to tell the story. So this opens up so many different movie roles for him now that he can stand next to other people and look normal.
Yeah, he looks like a normal human being now.
And apparently, though, that's just this is the end of the world for a lot of these fucking trolls out there, and they're fucking morons.
Yeah, they definitely are.
But he's always hated those people anyway. So
Yeah.
if you follow him on Twitter, then that he doesn't care for this kind of bullshit anyway. So he could give a fuck
I'm
what
well
these
aware.
assholes think.
Yeah,
Good for him. Batista, you look amazing, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
exactly.
All right, let's talk about movies this week. We'll get to the number one movie in America a little later on, but right now we'll talk about The Front Room, directed by Max and Sam Eggers, written by them as well, starring Brandy Norwood, in the story of a couple that's struggling to get by. She's a professor, he's an attorney, but he's not an attorney who makes a lot of money as of yet. They've got a house that's kind of large and old and has a very large mortgage, so they're kind of underwater and they could use a little bit of help, and they're about to have their first baby. Well, not their first baby, but they're about to have another baby. But the other baby, well, you'll learn about that later. But the husband, his dad passes away, and he goes to the funeral out of a sense of obligation and politeness, because he doesn't want to do this. His father and he were not close, and his stepmother, Solange, played by Kathryn Hunter, thank you, was abusive, verbally and emotionally, and probably physically abusive. So this is not anything he wants to do, is go there, but he does that out of obligation because his wife kind of pushes him to do it as well. When they get there, they find out that there's a bit of a surprise for them. In the will, they've been left a lot of money, but only if they'll take Solange into their home and care for her in her last years, her golden years, whatever the fuck it is. And he's again not for this, but they decided to do it because they need the money. And they immediately regret it because this woman is a monster. She's a racist. She's a jackass. She's just a disgusting human being who passes off all of her poor behavior as being an old woman who just tells it like it is, and uses her status as being elderly and infirm to manipulate the people around her into doing things. This is the first big miss of the year for me, Jeff. This movie did nothing for me. It made me sick. All the shit and all the urine in this movie, I wanted to walk out. There's a scene where this woman, so she's weaponizing her own incontinence to try and to just torture Brandy, and just any time, and just they go all out to the point where there's just a series of scenes where Brandy is she's got shit on her face, on her clothes. She's holding the baby while she's still covered in shit. And I want to call CPS because this is ridiculous. I mean, there's shit on the walls. There's shit on the floor. There's shit in her bed. And this becomes the entirety of the second act. So I'm sitting there waiting for the movie to start because I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be something, right? And then we're arriving into the middle portion of the movie, and the only thing that's happening is these repeated scenes of her shitting herself to torture Brandy. And I'm like, do you have something else? Is something else going to happen? Is there going to be something more here? And nothing. There's nothing more here. It's just she's going to shit a couple more times. They're maybe going to hint that she has some kind of supernatural power, but I'm a big no on this one. It's not the worst movie. There's still elements of it that do work. I don't think the performances are bad. I don't think the direction is bad. I think the choices are bad.
Yeah, I didn't know it was based on a short story. And that always, depending on the movie, really can, I don't know, be a good thing or a bad thing. But I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. There were quite a few things I liked about it. I liked Kathryn Hunter's performance. I thought that, she played it like there was something else there. And it kind of it made me want to see her do something, like almost Hereditary or Get Out. Now I know that she's not black as far as I'm aware of, but her darker skin tone and some of the way she was speaking in the movie, and the fact that they had that Daughters of the Confederacy thing, it kind of made me wonder if there was some sort of supernatural thing where she was passing most of her life, and um, the name Solange and
Mhm.
everything kind of made me wonder if it was going to come out that she was passing and she was somehow related to Brandy, um, and her family down the line or something,
Mhm.
or there was going to be something supernatural. Um, that's where I kind of lost it because it just was the end was so anticlimactic.
Mhm.
Um, I think everybody gave a really good performance. I really, except for Andrew Burnham, he he just wasn't. He just didn't seem like he was there, and his face acting.
Mhm.
He kept he always looked like he was going to cry, like, but
Yeah.
he didn't have that
Mhm.
scene where he broke down and he said, yes, she made me sing Jesus Loves Me and she didn't believe me and all that. But he never had that scene where, he got to break down at her and tell her all this. He told Brandy and then he was absent for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And I just wanted more from him. I guess I, I didn't, I just wanted more. And I don't think that the filmmakers really wanted to give us more.
I don't think they had more. I think they thought they had it with the shit and piss, I guess. I think that's what they thought.
Yeah.
And the sort of a twist, not really a twist ending that they have, which is a solid ending. It's a solid ending. Like, no notes, really, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that could have worked if you'd built the rest of the movie better. That could have worked.
So when I was walking out of the movie, there was a woman and her daughter behind me, and the mom was just like, fucking stupid. This is so this oh, it makes me so fucking mad. And I thought they were talking about the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I said, "Oh, did you not like it?" She goes, "No, that woman, I would have killed her." And I said, "Yeah, I would have killed her after the first shit thing. I would have done exactly what Brandy did, except I would have done it a lot sooner. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there was no reason to keep her around. You had the money." But she was hateful to be hateful, not because there was some sort of ulterior motive. She
Mhm.
just wanted to be hateful. So
I think I know what they were going for in the end. I don't think they got there, but I'm assuming that the idea here is that this woman is representative of everything that we can't negotiate with, like bigotry, racism, sexism, just all the horrible things of the past that we cannot bargain with, that we shouldn't try to bargain with. Those are her values are all wrong and cannot be negotiated with. And I think the point is we need to bring those to an end by any means necessary. And I do agree with that idea. I do agree that there is no quarter for people who believe what this woman believes, and the way not just the way she acts, but the things that she espouses and stands for need to be stopped. No question. But I don't think this movie does enough to get there because they're so focused on grossing you out and they don't have anything else. They had one good idea, and that is him, the husband, suckling on his stepmother's teats. Like, they had that one visual that is super creepy and effective, and then they had nothing else but shit and piss.
Yeah, I don't think that they were. I don't think it just doesn't. It's gross, but it's not scary.
No.
And I guess I wanted a little more scary.
Mm-hmm. I wanted her to have some kind of supernatural power that made her an actual threat. Or something, or something that made, or maybe like pull an orphan and she's not nearly as infirm as she says she is. Like, pull that. Like, I thought maybe that's where it's going. Like, there are those old, the cartoons about the frog that only ever danced when the guy wasn't around anybody. Like, I thought maybe that's what they're going for, and they did a couple times, but they don't commit to it because they're so interested in covering everything in shit.
The synopsis of the short story sounds actually much more interesting. Do you want to hear it?
Mm-hmm.
A young family transforms their front room by a sermon inspired by Isaiah. Bring the homeless poor into your house. They invite Solange to live with them, but the Christian mother realizes that she needs to protect her children from the evil presence of Solange. After Solange dies, her presence reaches from beyond the grave, taking the one thing she wanted. Doesn't that sound better?
That's also not this movie.
No, not at all.
I don't think this is actually based on that, because that is not this movie. None of that happens in this movie.
That is literally the story that it was based on by Susan Hill, The Traveling Bag and Other Ghostly Stories. I mean, sounds so much better.
Yeah. It certainly sounds like something that isn't this movie. I don't know
well, and doesn't it make you feel like if she had been, oh, this is my son, and you can't take him from me, and blah blah blah, and then Brandy kills her, or Belinda kills her, and she comes back and takes the husband.
I thought she was going to be the baby. I thought she would, like, when it reveals, like, later on that she's pregnant again, I thought, okay, she's giving birth to Solange, and that's where the story's going. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not where it's going. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't think it's, like I said, it's not the worst movie of the year. It's not by a long shot. Nothing's going to touch The Crow at this point. That movie has lapped the field in terms of being the absolute worst. This is not that.
I have a confession. I watched somewhere. I may have watched The Crow or part of it and shut it off because it was execrable.
It's unwatchable, right?
Unwatchable.
Total trash. This movie is not total trash. I think these guys got talent. I don't know why they let themselves get wrapped up in this body function stuff. I don't know what that was that they thought that they had, that was enough to just being gross was going to be enough. I don't know what they've got to get over that idea. Hopefully they don't go ahead and take that forward anytime soon. Also, A24, come on, step up. This is not an A24 movie. This doesn't belong on that label next to the movies that they typically release.
No, this was a miss, unfortunately, because I was really looking forward to it from the trailer.
With the last name Egger, I was wondering if they're related to someone like.
Yeah, same.
Like maybe that would maybe that could make it sense why A24 would do this as a favor, maybe, but no, I don't know. I think they have talent. I don't think this is a good movie.
No.
All right, let's get on to more not good movies because this has been a rough week. There are no good movies this week, guys. It's just gonna be grumpy. I'm sorry. I know. I don't like being grumpy all the time, but this is gonna be a grumpy week because we're talking about Beetlejuice, and I don't mind the original Beetlejuice, 1988. Michael Keaton playing a demon who can be called forth if you say his name 3 times. He gets called to help by Geena Davis and Alec Baldwin, who are a couple of ghosts who are trapped in their house, and they've got new people moving in, a new family, the Deetz family moving in. They've got a teenage daughter, Lydia, along with her stepmom, Kathryn O'Hara, and of course her dad, the sex criminal, Jeffrey Jones. Yeah, I can't stand seeing his face. We'll get to that, but
yeah.
And stuff happens, and Winona Ryder is very entertaining. Michael Keaton can be very entertaining. I think there's elements of Beetlejuice that do work. I can see why people connect to it as much as they do. It's not an all-time classic for me, but I have a fondness for it from my childhood. But you actually watched this for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the big set pieces before, but I had never actually seen the whole movie all the way through until this week.
It's kind of like me with Alien. Like I saw most of Alien before I actually saw Alien. You've seen most of Beetlejuice before you've actually seen Beetlejuice.
Yeah, he gives a great performance in it, Michael Keaton, and I think Winona Ryder is just playing a type in that movie. I think she's far better in this one, in the new one. I didn't hate it. It was it was fine, and I got to see how everything was connected in it. I had never really watched much of um, the Geena Davis and Alec Baldwin parts, but I worked at Spirit Halloween for 2 years, unfortunately, and everything was Beetlejuice and Nightmare Before Christmas. So um, I think that's why I had kind of mixed feelings about it as an entity,
Mm-hmm.
because I just really, really think it's overexposed that way.
Definitely, but
So
Keaton has got a great deal of energy. The vision of it is pretty spectacular. With Burton, Burton's aesthetic, certainly in the '80s, was top notch. He was committed to creating something that was unlike anything else, and that is something that that we can always take away from his early work, is that his stuff looked like nothing else in the market. Always,
yeah,
he was inventing a new film aesthetic that is purely his own. Um, that comes back to bite him later in his career when he can only do that, and he's learned seemingly no other skills. But we'll get there. What was your favorite part of this movie, though? What did you think of Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis? I kind of liked them a lot.
yeah. I just thought they were just a sweet couple. I thought that they, had a lot of chemistry, and the fact that they were dead really didn't do anything to deaden that, I guess. Them kind of discovering how to be dead and how to be ghosts was fun. I didn't. I I would have liked to have seen a little more of them at the beginning.
Hmm.
Maybe about. First of all, I thought the movie was like 2+ hours. When I, before I watched it, and it wasn't. And I was like, oh, okay. I could have stood another, I don't know, 10 minutes of them at the beginning,
Hmm.
seeing people from the town and, setting all that up. And I thought that would have been interesting.
I love what Catherine O'Hara is doing. She's got a very a bold. She was doing this character better than anyone 30 some odd years ago, which
Yeah.
is just so impressive. I mean, you can see the seeds of everything that she becomes in
Yes.
this performance, and that's so cool to look back on.
Yeah, I was watching it going, oh my God, it's Moira Rose. The early days.
She's just such a great actress, and at that time she wasn't getting nearly enough credit for how great she was.
Yeah, she her whole like SCTV career and everything like that really is it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, she's just amazing overall. But to see kind of the seeds of everything that she's loved for today in this movie, and wondering if all the people who love her as Moira Rose even realize that, if they don't know, if they don't know Beetlejuice like I didn't know Beetlejuice. So
I liked the musical sequence. I liked the choice Rodeo. I thought it was great. I thought it worked, because at the time, that song was only 30 years old. Like it felt about right where it happened, and it's also a weird song it just kind of, that type of trickster stuff that Beetlejuice does. It made sense that he would take time to do a big musical number, because that's just kind of the that's his vibe. So I dig that a lot.
yeah, this was before Tim Burton was really like, this kind of exploded him, to get him Batman and all that. And I think that it really set up his aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
but it also, everything has to be like this now. Like with him, it has to be weird and kooky. I don't think he could ever do anything that, was a straight up drama.
I wouldn't
So,
necessarily ask him to tone it down too much, but
no,
certainly he needs to.
I just say,
He stopped evolving at a certain point. He stopped trying to do things any other way, or learn something new, or bring in something new. It all just became building upon this aesthetic and hoping that maybe it would catch on again the way it did this time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it much more than I thought I was going to do. So
we're mixed, positive, I guess, on Beetlejuice, but I'm going to be pretty negative on the sequel, Beetlejuice. Once again, directed by Tim Burton, from a script that was written at least 40 years ago. Returning Winona Ryder as the main character, Lydia. Kathryn O'Hara's back as her stepmom. We've got, of course, Michael Keaton back as Beetlejuice. And there's really just a lot of rehashing going on here. Lydia is now hosting a TV show where she talks to ghosts and she goes ghost hunting. She's got a boyfriend played by Justin Theroux, who's just this obnoxious caricature of a character from the 90s. You know, the too in touch with his feelings ponytail guy that was invented, in 1991? Was it about that time when we invented that character archetype? Earlier than that, probably. I'm surprised there weren't more vegetarian jokes. He's their producer / boyfriend. They get called to go back to her former home because her dad, Jeffrey Jones, has passed away. He's been eaten by a shark. Shark ate his head off in a animated sequence where you still have to see Jeffrey Jones's stupid face, so he's still getting a paycheck from this fucking movie. But he did get, at least the shark ate him, so that's something. But then he sticks around. We'll talk about that. But Lydia's a loser. She's a pill popper. Her daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, hates her. And she's just kind of miserable, which is, a wonderful retcon for this character to take her back to where she was rather than evolve the character, because that would take actual writing to do that, to evolve the character to a place where she made more sense as a character. Now, let's take her back to exactly where she was at the start of the other movie, because, we're not going to bother writing this movie. We're also just going to take a character played by Jenna Ortega and just kind of tack her on. She's just sort of there. We'll come up with a plot. We just need a hot young star to add to the poster and to make this feel like it's not a complete rehash of something we did 30 some odd years ago. Jenna Ortega's fine. She's doing it all, but she's playing a very stock teenage character here. She's angry. She hates her mom. Her dad's gone. Her dad has passed away, and she's sad, and of course there's a conflict with her and her mom, because she thinks, if her mom can talk to ghosts, then she should be able to talk to her dad, but that's not happening. And Lydia doesn't know why she can't communicate with him, and you might think, oh, he might still be alive, but he's not. Never mind, don't worry about that. And he's also not going to be really all that important later. We're going into the other universe where Beetlejuice is. I don't know what Beetlejuice is doing. He's running a company of some kind. He's got a bunch of guys with shrunken heads, because that was in the first movie. So if you call it back, reheat that nostalgia. He's running a company of some kind. We don't know what. But his big thing is that his ex-wife is back. Monica Bellucci has been reanimated. She's reassembled her pieces after he had cut her into pieces thousands of years ago, and she's out for revenge, and she somehow has the ability to kill people who are already dead. So, okay, cool, whatever. That's not going to be important later, so don't worry about that either. This doesn't matter. She spends a lot of time searching for Beetlejuice. Lydia comes to need Beetlejuice because her daughter goes into the other realm with this boy she meets. The boy is dead, and he needs the daughter to help him come back from the dead. He's also a guy who happens to be a killer. He killed his parents, who were trapped in their house as ghosts continue on with their lives. And so Lydia's got to chase her daughter into the world of the dead. So she calls on Beetlejuice, who gets her in, and she goes about saving her daughter. In exchange, of course, she'll marry Beetlejuice, and he gets to accomplish the thing that he was trying to accomplish in the first film, because again, we've got to rehash and reheat everything we've ever done before, including a musical sequence, which this is just an awful sequence, just a miserable sequence. Set at a wedding. Beetlejuice is, we resolved all the other issues, so now Beetlejuice is the big bad, and he's going to do a big musical sequence to MacArthur Park, which is a song from first the late 1960s by Richard Harris, and then, of course, a #1 disco hit by Donna Summer. Disco being a thing,
Hard to
this movie...
hear.
The disco being a thing that this movie feels the need to refer to more than once, because for some reason there's a whole big joke about a soul train, because that's fucking relevant to anybody under 60 right now. That's really a joke that's going to get the audience rolling in the aisles or searching on their phone trying to figure out what the fuck they're referencing. But yeah, MacArthur Park. MacArthur Park. Oh, sorry.
I said I have thoughts, but
I'm sorry. I'm just ranting a little bit. Yeah, I hate this. I hate this a lot. It's not anywhere near Crow levels of bad, and too much of it is too competent for it to be as bad as, you know, a truly bad movie. It's a bad movie, but it's not like. But it's not on the garbage level of Crow, as if anything could be.
So I didn't hate it. There were a few funny moments. I thought it would have been far funnier with, you know, if they, get on the Soul Train and it was just Don Cornelius saying, get on the Soul Train, and they were all getting on there. I thought that would have been funny. You didn't need the whole dance sequence. People could have been dancing on it. It was nice, however, though, to see Tim Burton having a person of color in a movie for a change. Yeah, that's a whole thing that's going on Threads and stuff right now, and it's kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it just was a lot of cliche. The whole I hate my mom and she doesn't understand me, and my dad died, but we don't have any history for that except a couple photographs, and that really bugged me because I was like, well, we have, why should we feel bad that he died? Because we don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing, we never, he wasn't even a minor character in the first one.
Yeah.
There could have been a boy that was there that she liked, and they ended up getting married. And I really thought he was going to be alive.
Yeah, I thought that too. That would have been a better twist.
And yeah, it would have been better, and they could have been a happy family. And that's what I was kind of hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're obviously, they don't get along. Jenna Ortega hates Winona Ryder. So she's, obviously by the end of it, they're going to be together and happy and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So why not have her father? He was stuck in the underworld or something, and they had to go get him. The whole, my boyfriend killed his parents and now he's trying to switch his lives with me. That was like even less necessary than the Monica Bellucci character. both could have been cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I was spoiled by you and Andy talking about it on Facebook about the dead boyfriend. So
yeah, sorry about that.
I knew going in that he was dead. So I was just waiting to find out, I thought when she crashed into his treehouse, I assumed that she died, and that was where they were going with it, which I don't know if I would have liked that more or less. I think that
that's a rich vein for storytelling, though. What if mom then exchanges her soul for her daughter's and goes into the afterlife with her and finds her dead husband and lives happily ever in the afterlife?
Yeah, the Monica Bellucci shouldn't have been there. That was stupid. That was pointless.
It amounted to nothing.
Willem Dafoe amounted to nothing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Kathryn O'Hara kind of amounted to nothing.
Pretty much.
She was just there to talk to Winona Ryder about it. I think she should have had a much better part. I think that if, she could have teamed up with Lydia or Jenna Ortega, whatever her character's name is. That's how little I remember it. They could have teamed up to go back and rescue Lydia, who exchanged her soul or whatever. And I would have been on board with that. I wanted her to have a bigger part because of how good she was in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The Jeffrey Jones stuff pissed me off because he should have been dead for years. It should have just been, well, he's been dead for years and he got eaten by a shark. And then you could have had him, in the underworld with no head. You wouldn't have had to pay him likeness rights if they did. I don't know. Somebody said, well, because he was in the first one, they own his likeness as that character. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But they wouldn't have had to even seen him.
Right.
The one little thing about him being in the movie is I didn't get it until later on in the movie. But when they've got his face on his tombstone, and I did not realize that the tombstone was a shark fin.
Oh, yeah.
A dorsal fin.
I saw that.
I didn't realize that until almost the end of the movie, and I thought that was funny. There were funny parts, but it was mostly Catherine O'Hara's little lines and asides.
Yeah.
It really it seemed like a rehash. I thought Winona Ryder was pretty good in it. She looked really good. She, that.
Except they made her keep that stupid haircut. Like,
yeah.
But because nothing about the character, because we're resetting her. We're resetting her back to what she was when in the previous movie. We want to make sure that fans don't get triggered by seeing a character changed in any way. Lord knows.
Yeah. Lord
knows the precious snowflake fans, we can't have them see a character that they recognize and they not completely recognize them as that character.
Yeah.
How are you going to sell her goddamn fucking costume at Spirit Halloween if she looks any different than she did in the original movie?
Well, yeah, and I think she's a little too old for the Courtney Cox Scream 3 bangs. I mean, Courtney Cox was much younger than Winona Ryder is now when that movie came out, but she was even too old for them at that point. Like you said, it's competent. It's competently directed, acted. Nobody isn't trying, except for Justin Theroux is trying way too hard.
I think Burton is barely trying, and I know the screenwriters barely tried. I mean, that one's obvious. I have a theory, and I can't confirm it. I don't know how I could possibly confirm it, but I think they wrote this script in 1991 with plans to make a sequel, less than a couple of years after the original. They put it on a shelf, and then when they were told that they're going to have to make another one, they've finally been, the money truck is so full of money now that they have to make another one. They just pulled the script out of mothballs, tacked on a plot for Jenna Ortega's character, and oh, here you go, film that. I mean, does that not make sense? The way, I mean, first of all, you've got her character. Her character hosts a TV show. In this day and age, I'm sorry, I know television still exists, but it's not relevant in any way. It's just not. She's also a multi-millionaire. You could update that very easily. Just have her host a podcast or a YouTube channel. Like, Lydia's what, my age? Like, I'm literally on a podcast right now. I mean, you could do something. You could change that and make it a little bit different. Everything about her character could be made a little bit different. How about acknowledging the fact that by the end of the first movie that she had evolved a little bit and she was beginning to change and see the world a little bit differently. And probably that leads to her meeting her husband, is that change. But then they have problems and he dies and whatever. But that making her a depressive pill addict is basically just taking her back to being the character she was at the start of the previous movie. That's lazy. That's lazy screenwriting. Because you can't imagine this character changing in any way.
The Ghost Hunter show is 10 years out of date.
Yeah.
That was something she could have, like you said, she could have hosted a YouTube show. I think would have been more relevant, been popular on TikTok or something like that. But a Ghost Hunter show is something that kind of peaked 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that. I like Jenna Ortega a lot. I like Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara. I really think that there's a sequel there that would mean more to those three. And that includes, like you said, Winona Ryder seeing that Jenna Ortega is falling for this guy who it means to do what he did. And instead, at the last minute, switches her soul for hers, comes back as a ghost, and they realize that the only way that they can get her back is Beetlejuice. Leave out Monica Bellucci, leave out I keep wanting to call him Craig Chester. Oh my God. Justin Theroux. Leave him out. Just make it female centric.
Yeah.
They're not, let it pass the Bechdel test, I wanted to see more Kathryn O'Hara, more of her being a character instead of a caricature, and the three of them working together for a common goal. And whether that was to, get Jeffrey Jones' character out, out of purgatory into, onto the Soul Train or whatever, without ever showing his face.
Just drop the whole Soul Train thing. Just get rid of it. It's not funny. It's not timely. It's not relevant. Just drop it. It's not a good joke. It's an irrelevant joke, as is MacArthur Park. But I had a whole, first of all, to the Jeffrey Jones thing, leaving him in the movie as much as they do, even without a head, he's still there. They have a couple scenes where they're using this, CGI character without a head. He gets to do that. They get to do that with that character, but Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis get written off with a line of dialogue. That's it. That's all I get. How much of a fuck you is that? And I realize Alec Baldwin's not a good person anymore, but fuck. I mean, Geena Davis at the very least deserved a little bit more than a line of dialogue. Those two characters deserved a little bit more than a line of dialogue. Give them an animated piece. I mean, an animated send-off. I mean, at the very least, those were good characters that we liked. So fucking dumb. I had a much better pitch for this movie. I had it that, maybe, what if Winona Ryder's character had shut herself away in that house for the past, 30 some odd years, just biding her time, because after Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis's characters move on, she's kind of stuck there. She stays there. She's talking to ghosts. She's doing things online, learning to fight, because she wants to prevent Beetlejuice from ever coming back. So she's spending all this, she's like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. She's preparing herself for the day that Beetlejuice is going to try and come back. Then you have her be kind of drawn out. She comes out of the house after all this time. She's been, spending time online, and maybe she's got a popular blog or something. So she does have a connection to the outside world or something in the ghost world that kind of draws her out to get out of the house. And this, when she leaves the house, is the exact moment when this group of YouTube ghost hunters, led by a couple of dumbasses and then Jenna Ortega's character, show up to thinking that this is a haunted location, an abandoned haunted location that they could ghost hunt in and shoot their stupid YouTube channel in. And then when they get there, they start interacting with the ghosts in the house, but they happen to be the ones who are dumb enough to to say Beetlejuice and interact with him and help bring him back into the world. And then Lydia's got to return to her house and team up with Jenna Ortega to stop Beetlejuice again. But this time she's ready for it. That's a much better idea than this stupid fucking movie.
Yeah, I think that there are better stories that could be told as a sequel to the original that would honor it a little more and honor the fact that they've been off for 30 some years. It seemed like a cash grab, which I know it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed like a lot of cliches that we've seen 100 times in different movies, all mashed up with Michael Keaton running around in a Tina Turner wig,
Mm-hmm.
And he was good. He was Beetlejuice. He
slips into it very easily.
The character.
Yeah.
He obviously loves the character, and the only thing that I really didn't like was the story. I know it's a big thing in a movie.
Yeah.
But, I liked all three of the women. I liked Beetlejuice, what they did with him. And
yeah, I know I'm harping on the MacArthur Park thing because I think that song is purely irrelevant and not the best choice. Whereas I think I've got a better idea for that musical sequence, because the whole thing is about everybody's trying to escape from Beetlejuice. They're trapped in this church under his power, because he keeps, he's using his powers to take over them and make them do like he did in the first movie, make them do the musical sequence. Why not use a song that people actually remember, that is timely to when the first movie came out and would fit the scene incredibly well? Why not use something like "The Rhythm Is Gonna Get You"? Could you imagine that scene evolving with "The Rhythm Is Going to Get You"? Because everybody's being got by Beetlejuice to sing the song. Suddenly, "The Rhythm Is Going to Get You" is a literal threat. That's funny. That's comedy.
Yeah, so something like that would have just been.
It's also,
I like the song "MacArthur Park" by Donna Summer. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I just, like you said, it doesn't.
It has no cachet.
It's not wacky enough to be like Deo.
Yeah.
It's not. Or jumping the line. It's not wacky enough to do something like that. A song from the 50s or the 60s that was probably not that well known. I think MacArthur Park isn't that well known now, but for a reason, it's a fucking weird song.
It's a novelty song to begin with. I mean, not that Deo wasn't a novelty song, but I mean, Deo is still an incredibly popular song that in 1988 people were still pretty familiar with.
Or Jenna Ortega could have been obsessed with like novelty songs like Fish Heads or something that you'd hear on Dr. Demento in the 80s. And they could have done, Fish Heads or something stupid like that.
Mm-hmm.
That whole musical sequence was kind of dumb, and the whole like burping wedding cake.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wonder what if Tim Burton is like on ketamine or what, because it doesn't seem like Coke anymore.
I think I've got a better title for this movie, and I put it. It's in my written review as well, so I am rehashing the joke, but it's a good joke. They should have just called this Beetlejuice 2. Shut up. Okay, here, fine. The contractual obligation is fulfilled. Stop asking us to make another Beetlejuice movie.
Oh, or just okay, fine.
Look, well, if you just stop asking us. Here's your dumb sequel. Get out of. Stop asking us to make another one. Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the impression that Tim Burton leaves here with the how lazy this all is that he didn't want to do this. He didn't want to make this. He's not interested in this. He doesn't care. He wants to collect the paycheck maybe, but he really, I think the main driver for him was just to get people to stop asking him to do it.
Yeah, it was after watching the first one all the way through, it was unnecessary.
This sequel died when they missed the chance to make Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Actual pitch for the sequel 30 years ago was Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. I mean, Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice surfing is a great visual.
Yeah.
I would have totally gone for that. But that sequel was ahead of its time.
Agreed.
So yeah, I'm coming off as pretty grumpy tonight, mostly because I think the movies made me that way.
Like I said, I did not hate Beetlejuice. I thought there was a good movie in there, but not anything that you saw on screen. The Front Room, same thing. I think that, like adapting that line that I read would have been much better. Yeah, just disappointing. But I did like the original Beetlejuice.
I have a fondness for the original Beetlejuice, but it's not anything I ever go back to. It's the only watchable thing we saw this week. I would certainly not recommend either the sequel or The Front Room. I don't recommend either of those movies.
Yeah, I can't say that I would watch Beetlejuice regularly. So
Well, relatively short show this week.
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
quickly, how about just a couple rounds of flick chart before we run out of time?
sure, sure.
Ed Wood or The Relic?
Ed Wood.
Yeah, so Ed Wood for sure. Hey, it's a Tim Burton movie. What do you know? Back when he used to make good movies.
Yep. Interesting movies.
And of course, yeah, because the internet is always listening. In case you didn't already know that, the internet is always listening to you. We get a Tim Burton movie in our first flick chart. I did not set that up.
Bautista movie.
The Kids Are All Right or Rocky 5?
Kids Are All Right.
That's a much better movie. Let's see. What do we get next? My internet's starting to move slowly, which is great timing for that while we're doing flick chart. We haven't decided on a classic for next week. We know we have Speak No Evil, and we've got Killer's Game with Bautista coming out next week. I'm not.
Instead of a
Go ahead.
Maybe instead of a classic, we just have a party. The fact that we'll never have to see that fucking trailer for Speak No Evil ever again.
There is that. That is a positive development for sure.
Every single movie, even if I go in late,
yeah,
because we can choose our seats at Cinemark here. And if I go in late, it's always the last trailer. If I catch the last trailer, it's always that fucking trailer.
Yeah, now it's going to be the Smile 2 trailer that's going to fucking take its place.
How is Smile 2 hours and 12 minutes long?
What the fuck? What are you talking about?
That movie, I looked it up earlier because somebody said, why is it so long? And I'm like, wait a minute, what? And I looked it up and it is 2 hours and 12 minutes. I don't need to see anything more than what's in the trailer because I don't. We know what happened in the first one. How could it be any different?
Wow. That's way too much for that.
Yeah. So
THX 1138 or Unforgiven?
Oh, Unforgiven. THX 1138 is not. It's a great experimental movie, but Unforgiven is an actual movie.
Yeah, it's it's nice. I think THX is nice for being able to see the bones of Star Wars, but other than that,
yeah.
Horton Hears a Who or Frankenweenie because of Tim Burton.
Oh my god. Oh god, I hate both of those movies, and it's just because no, I don't hate Frankenweenie. What am I talking about? I'm just like it's one of those twee Tim Burton ones that I only had to watch once, and I never need to see it again. But that's better than Horton Hears a Who, for God's sake.
Venom or Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Oh, Venom. I actually kind of enjoyed the first one.
I like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I think it's a good movie.
Yeah, like it's a bad movie. I just, the whole Brangelina thing.
It won the coin toss. All right, let's see what we get next here. How are we doing on time? We good?
Yeah, we've got a few minutes left.
Because Flick Chart's taking its time here. The Mechanic with Jason Statham or Warm Bodies, the zombie movie?
I did not see that because it looked absolutely terrible.
So you're going with Mechanic?
Sure.
All right, then. Bobby, the Bobby Kennedy movie that was directed by Emilio Estevez, or The Jungle Book 2?
Oh. First of all, Robert Kennedy Sr. was not any better of a guy than his son. But it had a nice cast.
I kind of wonder today, when I look back on the Kennedys and what they stood for, I think by now they'd be where Robert Kennedy Jr. is. Honestly, I think they'd be kind of right wing today.
Well, I mean, let's face it, the left wing is pretty right. The left center is pretty right from where the right used to be. So
yeah,
I
think they'd be Republicans today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Harris and Biden, they're all what Republicans were when we were growing up, if you think about it. So,
I mean, Reagan, I mean, I don't think Harris is nearly as evil as Reagan was.
oh no, I'm just saying, like, you know, everybody talked about, how uh Obama was so far left radical, and he was actually to the right of Ronald Reagan when it came to immigration. Ronald Reagan gave blanket amnesty, and Obama was called the deporter in chief. So, you know, but I think, Bobby Kennedy was not a good person. I don't think, based on Dorothy Kilgallen and Marilyn Monroe and all those conspiracy theories. But yeah, I'll go Bobby.
All right, that Bobby wins, I guess. Yeah, because that Jungle Book sequel is unwatchable. Let's see here. Rubber, about the killer tire, or Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg?
Oh, God. Rubber has more charisma than Mark Wahlberg does. That tire is a better actor.
I mean, yeah.
Rubber. I don't care.
Fair enough.
It's a terrible movie, but they just both.
Rockstar's bad, but it's kind of bad in a kind of entertaining way. But I kind of like the premise of Rubber is so silly that it makes it more entertaining.
Yeah.
Soylent Green or Simon Birch?
I don't think I saw Simon Birch. Is that with like Jonathan Lipnicki or something?
I'm not sure if he's the little kid in that one or not. That is about a little kid, so you're on the right track.
Yeah, I tend to avoid movies about little kids like that. So.
The special little boy and his special friend genre.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Hamlet or The Pianist? Hamlet with Laurence Olivier.
We'll go with Hamlet.
Yeah. Roman Polanski's stink is all over The Pianist, so.
Yeah.
Bulletproof with Damon Wayans and Adam Sandler, or Play Misty for Me, Clint Eastwood?
Ooh, Play Misty for Me.
Yeah, okay. I think that movie's kind of disappointing, but it's certainly better than Bulletproof. Did you hear, by the way, that
Bulletproof does not have Jessica Walter?
Did you hear, by the way, that they're in production on Billy Madison 2 right now? Because the world, we're not in the darkest timeline or anything.
Oh.
Thankfully, it's a Netflix movie, so I don't even have to pretend that it exists. So
yeah, Rob Schneider must be out of money.
He's got to get back on that Adam Sandler welfare plan. Yeah, it's weird for a Republican to need that welfare plan like that, but he's been living off it his entire career.
Maybe they can pull in Chachi too. Kevin Sorbo.
I think they're getting their God's Not Dead paychecks this weekend.
Oh yeah. Well, luckily they were able to get off, arrange their schedules at Subway to get in that movie, so they do have a bit of a residual coming. So,
A Beautiful Mind or Down to Earth with Chris Rock?
Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, that's a pretty good movie.
All right, this one's going to be our last one, Sean. Make it a good one.
Oh, fuck. It's probably going to be a Tim Burton movie, I'm betting.
Probably.
Nope. It's Money Talks with Chris Tucker or Something Wicked This Way Comes from 1983.
We were just talking about Something Wicked This Way Comes. That is not available anywhere, and I love that movie and want to see it again. So
Weird.
Yeah, I'm going to pick that.
All right. That's the winner.
Awesome.
All right, Jeff. Talk to you next week when thankfully we can celebrate that we never have to see that fucking trailer again.
That should be the title for next week. Have a good night.
See ya.